Trustees' regular meeting is now called to order at 4:31 p.m. We welcome members of the public. Instructions on making public comment are posted in item 1 on the agenda. We will ask at each item if there is public comment. The board recognizes March as Women's History Month, a time to celebrate the diverse and powerful contributions of individuals who identify as women throughout history and into the future. We acknowledge that every woman's story matters and that inclusivity is essential to building a better world for all. While we honor the achievements and resilience of women, we also recognize that significant barriers still exist, barriers that hinder equality, access, and representation. Let us use this month as an opportunity to amplify women's voices, advocate for systemic change, and commit ourselves to a future where every individual has the chance to thrive and contribute to society. Catherine, can you please do roll call?
Absolutely. Trustee Dodd?
Here.
Trustee Iverson?
Here.
Student trustee Gonzalez?
Here.
Trustee Kishinev?
Here.
Trustee DeLuna?
Present.
Trustee Baker? Here. Trustee Rios?
Here.
Trustee Olson?
Here.
Thank you.
Trustee Baker, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather today, it is important to acknowledge that Napa Valley College and the surrounding Napa Valley sit on the unceded, traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homelands of the Miwok, Patwin, who are comprised of 3 federally recognized tribes: the Coshel-Dehee Band of Winton Indians of the Caluso Indian Community, the Quetzal-Dehee Band of Winton Indians, and the Ocha-Dehee Winton Nation, and Wapo, including the Mishawal Wapo, also known as the Onostotsis peoples. As part of Napa Valley College's mission of transforming lives through excellent educational and professional opportunities that are student-centered, equity-focused, and community-oriented, and in accordance with the college's values of accountability, integrity, inclusion, respect, social justice, and sustainability, we make this acknowledgement. We also affirm that this acknowledgement is insufficient. It does not undo the harm that has been and continues to be perpetrated against Indigenous people, the land, and water. May we hold steady in our commitment to be in solidarity and in action to seek equity and justice with the Miwok, Patwin, and Wapo peoples. I'm going to move public comment up next, so you all don't have to wait until after closed session. So this public comment opportunity is governed by the California Brown Act. By definition, this is an opportunity to hear concerns, perspectives, and differing vantage points. The board is not able, under the Brown Act, to engage in any level of conversation or discussion, but we look forward to the opportunity to gather community input.
Trustee Olson, did you want to have the agenda adopted with an amendment to move it up?
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you, Trustee DeLuna. There is one change to the agenda. We are removing item action 13.2, notice to proceed River Trail Village Solar Project. And we are, would like to move public comment action 7. Are all those in, can I have a motion? Sorry.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda as stated.
Motion made, Trustee DeLuna made a motion, Trustee Iverson seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we will read public comment section. This public comment opportunity is governed by the California Brown Act. By definition, this is an opportunity to hear concerns, perspectives, and differing vantage points. The board is not able, under the Brown Act, to engage in any level of conversation or discussion, but we look forward to this opportunity to gather community input. At this time, the board will devote up to 15 minutes to review comment to the Board of Trustees regarding any subject not appearing as an agenda item for this meeting, but over which the board has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will occur at this time on such items. Each comment shall last no longer than 3 minutes. And we have some public comment cards. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to call on Renee Coffin first.
I'm Renee Coffin. I'm the Classified Professionals Union Secretary. Good evening, Board of Trustees and everyone present here today. We stand before you today as the classified professionals of Napa Valley College, who are deeply committed to the success of our students and this institution. But we also stand here because we keep facing several challenges that simply keep getting ignored. This is now our 4th time attending a Board of Trustees meeting since December of 2023, raising our voices in the hopes that you will hear and understand our struggles. So let's be clear about the reality we've been facing. Classified professionals have been without a contract since last summer, June of 2024. That's 9 months and counting. Over the past 5 years, we have lost 90 classified professionals. That's a huge hit to our campus community and a blow to the essential work we do here at the college. As a result of this, classified professionals are carrying increased workloads and additional duties at an unsustainable rate. Many of us are juggling 1, 2, 3, even 4 positions. The classified staff are doing more with shrinking staff, even to this day. Case in point, today's HR board docs. And to add to that strain, we have seen classified professionals be temporarily reassigned to administrative roles, leaving their responsibilities to be piled upon others. So what happens when you do more with less staff? The quality of services declines and suffers. We are stretched so thin that it's starting to show, and not just in our work, but in the student experience. Meanwhile, the district has turned to outside temp agencies to fill roles at higher paying rates. The district is also using temporary employee assistants, also known as Ts, to backfill and support classified vacancies. There's been no reorganization or restructuring to address these challenges at the classified professional level. Yet, we see major changes and salary increases for administrative and management positions. For example, the dean's level was restructured and reorganized in July of 2023, and with that came 2 salary increases totaling 7.5% in a span of 5 months. I'm going to reference board docs, June of 2023 and October of 23. The second example, the vice president's level also received 2 salary increases, totaling 12.5% within 1 year. I'm referencing board docs, July of 22 and June of 2023. So what has been proposed for classified professionals regarding their salary? 1%? 1.5%? Hey, how about 3%? That's a very pale comparison to what administrators and management have received. A salary increase that low doesn't even cover a cost of living adjustment, let alone recognize the workload we are shouldering, and doesn't address the retention issues we are facing as classified professionals. Meanwhile, the cost of living continues to skyrocket. Rent, groceries, eggs, gas, utilities, the price of everything is rising. We've heard countless stories of our colleagues struggling to make ends meet. Some of them are living paycheck to paycheck and feeling the weight of financial hardships. When classified professionals are stretched too thin, the ripple effect is felt across the entire campus. We want to be able to give our best to the students, to the faculty, to the entire Napa Valley College community. To do that, we need the resources, recognition, and the respect we deserve. What we're asking for is simple and reasonable. Fair compensation for the additional workload and duties we're carrying. A reorganization that ensures workloads are manageable with clear role definitions and reasonable expectations. One job and one position should be enough. A plan that recognizes the rising cost of living and supports the well-being of our classified professionals who support the students in the campus community. And above all, recognition for the value we bring to Napa Valley College, because without us, the 122, scratch that, we're now 121 classified professionals, there wouldn't be a Napa Valley College that would be able to operate on a daily basis. We're not asking for the world, we're asking for the basics: fairness, equity, support, and respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. I'll now call on Michelle Hinchcliffe.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. I'm Michelle. Thank you. I stand before you today as a proud Napa Valley College community member, having devoted nearly 9 years to serving as a classified professional. In my role as an administrative assistant for the Transfer Center and Articulation Office, I ensure that our essential services run smoothly. Without my contributions, the Transfer Center would not thrive. We would lack associate degree for transfer verification, workshops, classroom presentations, transfer day, spirit week, transfer celebration, field trips, and graduation petitions, which rely on the general education sheets I meticulously create. As a classified professional, I implore you to recognize our worth and acknowledge the challenges we face daily. In the past few years, we have lost an astonishing 90 staff members with no efforts to fill those critical positions. Consequently, we are stretched thin, managing the workloads of 2, 3, and in some cases, even 4 individuals, all while receiving little to no salary increases. Many of us reside in Napa County, where the average rental price for 1-bedroom apartment has soared to a staggering $2,200 a month. With inflation on the rise, it has been years since we saw a cost of living adjustment. Currently, we are enduring a challenging 9-month stretch without a contract. Your silence and indifference towards our situation is deafening. The stress and pressures we endure each day are taking a significant toll on our well-being. I urge you to come visit our campus, see our offices firsthand, witness our dedication, our struggles, and our unwavering commitment to this institution. We deserve not only recognition, but also a fair and comprehensive contract that truly reflects our contributions. We need you to step beyond what is easy and do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I'll now call on Carrie Sullivan.
Hey, thank you, everyone. My name is Kira Sullivan, and I've been a classified union member since 2017. I work as the theater technician at the Performing Arts Center here on campus, where I provide direct support to every class, performance, and rental event. One of the few places where we earn you guys outside money, by the way. Sometimes working 40+ hours of overtime in a pay period to ensure that, as we theater folks say, the show goes on. And I am not alone in that. As a unit, classified staff routinely push ourselves to the limit to benefit our students and ensure that classes and campus services are not interrupted. I also have a 4-year-old autistic son whose favorite thing in the world right now is Monster Jam. My spouse, Sammy, is my college sweetheart, and we celebrated our 8th wedding anniversary last June, which is the same time the previous classified contract expired, just, for frame of reference, keep that in mind. Now, I'm telling you these things about myself, not because I believe my life is exceptionally interesting, but because I feel the need to remind you that I am a person. Every single one of the 121 classified staff members who you, the members of the board, are repeatedly denying fair compensation to are people. We are parents, we are partners and community members, and we are also skilled professionals, and we all deserve so much better than you've offered us. Due to the failures of the Napa Valley Community College District to address Napa's cost of living in their compensation packages, I and many of my classified colleagues have been forced to take on multiple jobs outside of the college. Even then, there have been months where I need a food bank to keep my family fed. And while it can feel shameful to admit to struggling this much, I am not the one setting salaries, and I am not the one who should be ashamed. Repeatedly throughout this bargaining process, we've heard about the importance of maintaining our reserve. We've heard about the importance of staying off of the ACJCC's bad list. However, if you had built your reserve out of classified staff's underpaid labor, you do not deserve the clean bill of health that you've been given. If you cannot adequately pay your staff, you cannot claim to be fiscally sound. And if you are not fiscally sound, how can you possibly justify the spending we've seen on cabinet salaries and unfillable and apparently solar student housing in the last few years? Finally, I'd like to remind the members of the Board of Trustees that you're elected officials. And we, the classified staff members who work at this college, plus our families and our communities, are your constituents. As your constituents, who hopefully will continue to vote in Napa County elections, but who knows when, price of living might drive us out and then we might be in a different position. As your constituents, we need your support. In closed session, you must direct management to accept the union's very fair proposal. We've already made significant concessions during this protracted bargaining phase. And at this time, we're not even asking to be paid what we're worth. We're just asking to be paid enough to live. Thank you for your time. Solidarity to all of my classified and faculty colleagues. And to the board and the negotiations team, I urge you to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Mo Kashmiri.
Thanks, everybody. My name is Mo Kashmiri. I'm the field rep with NCIU Local 10-1. We represent all the classified workers at Napa Valley College. We've been in bargaining for 11 months. And we often hear that the board and this administration respects and supports their staff. It doesn't feel like it right now. What it feels like is a slap in the face. All we've been asking for is a fair contract that allows living wages so that we can recruit and retain the best staff. We've asked for binding arbitration so we're not treated as second-class citizens. For example, literally, we took the teachers' language for grievances and we copy and pasted it into our proposal for classified. We're tired of being treated as second-class citizens. This board talks a lot about social justice and equity and respect. But we're not seeing that. We want to see it in your actions. We know the district needs to stay fiscally sound, and they are in a good place. Revenues have risen over the past few years. The year-end unspent fund balances keep going up. In fiscal year 2024, property tax revenue increased $44.4 million. That's enough for a 10% increase for salary, all staff across the board. And we're asking for far less than that. What we're asking is that we get wages that are fair, a fair contract, and a voice on the job so we can help make this district the best. I'm going to end and let's ask for a quick unity clap. Where like any campaign, we're going to start slow and get a little faster. And I know the teachers have some speakers as well, and we're fully in support and solidarity that all workers here should get fair contracts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. As a reminder, each comment is limited to 3 minutes. Next speaker is Joshua Murillo.
Good evening, trustees. As you just said, my name is Joshua Murillo. And I want to share some words to you that I hope you'll keep in mind tonight as you meet with your labor negotiators. I started here as an adjunct in 2019. And at that point, I was earning about $66 per credit hour. Right? This includes lecturing, grading, class prep, and everything that I needed to do in order to make my class happen. Nearly 6 years later, after a number of step changes, salary adjustments to the salary scale, I now make about $90 per credit hour. And that sounds like real progress. Until I recall a conversation I had back in 2019 with a fellow adjunct who also worked at Santa Rosa Junior College. At the time, he was making about $100 per credit hour. So after all that progress, I'm still making less than he was 6 years ago at Santa Rosa. In 2019, 2020, the academic year, the faculty here were actually ranked dead last in salary for districts across the state of California. That's 73rd out of 73 districts at that time. Even though the college had agreed in 2017 and still agrees theoretically to address that shameful ranking and bring our salaries in line with the cost of living rank. The agreement is to get us into the top third of salary rankings in the state. That would be at least the 24th salary rank position, which is but the district has definitely not lived up to that promise. This year, one of the district's lawyers tried to remove that as a goal, and I hear now that they might be trying to remove that goalpost or that goal altogether, possibly because moving the goalpost wasn't really working. But you might think that the district can afford this, to which there are many responses about priorities, about violating a 50% law, about keeping your promise, about out of control operating expenses. But I will just point out that in the past 3 years, the district has grown its reserve by about $4 million. And over the next 5 years, the projection from the budget office is that it will grow by another $4 million, far beyond any recommended reserve levels. I've heard this body time and again praise the faculty, the college's classified and faculty. And as the school year comes to a close, sooner than might expect or might think, I expect we'll probably hear more praise for the workers here, right? So let's be clear, the students here succeed because of us. When workers know that their labor is truly valued, they take pride in their jobs, they uphold high standards, and we provide the best possible support for students. Like it or not, we live in a capitalist system. In the system, the way an employer shows how much they value their employees isn't by speeches or resolutions, it's by what appears on their paychecks. So until I can look at my paycheck, until I can look at mine and see that you truly understand the value that I bring to this college, the value that we all bring to this college, I prefer you withhold any empty words of praise in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. I have an anonymous speaker card. Okay. Hi. Woo!
Hi, everybody. My name is Christy Iwamoto, but I will be reading this for another faculty member. Good evening.
The salary stagnation has me extremely worried now more than ever. As a faculty member who is a first-generation student and currently responsible for supporting an elderly mother, I'm also experiencing daily stress as a result of student loans and legislative changes happening now. I was an undocumented dream student for many years in this country and did not have wealthy nor middle-class parents who could help me with my college tuition. So while I applied and received merit scholarships for my efforts, I still have significant student loan burden. I was not allowed to work legally in the country during my youth as I waited for legislation to help former dream students in my situation. So I went to school, got good grades, and pursued my master's with a mix of private merit scholarships, and once I became a citizen, student loans. Since I couldn't legally work for many years, I was not able to gain teaching experience to fulfill my dream of teaching. So when I became a citizen, I went for a third master's in order to get that experience. I achieved this goal at the cost of a heavy student loan burden and an impact on my health, trying to cobble up work experience here and there while working 3 jobs. Every morning, I find myself reading alarming news about the perilous position former students like me are in because we were promised public student loan forgiveness via the PSFL program. But now that this is all tied up in court and halted, our student loan payments may go up any day to a degree that is unaffordable. I'm reading news reports of people who have had this happen to them already, and others who think, like me, are in limbo, waiting to see what will happen to our finances. People like me sacrificed everything for attaining an education and to have an opportunity to serve and work with students. The institutions we placed our trust in and sacrificed or demand more and more of us without giving back fair compensation for all of our struggle and the hard work we provide. We are not asking for wealth. We're asking for fair wages as one of the wealthiest countries in the nations, and California. Napa is the 16th most expensive city out of 319 in a survey conducted by livingcost.org. We are in the top 5% most expensive counties, and yet we are among the lowest earning workers. We appeal to your sense of justice to advocate on our behalf for fair wages so that we can continue our equity work with students and so that we can be better allies in our service to them. I finally feel like I have a community here at NVC, but it saddens me to see this community in worry and stress over fair compensation. I see so much wasted energy tangled up in unfair negotiations that can be redirected towards students instead. What good is it to hoard all this money when we can benefit from it now and give back our time, energy, and service to students? What good is it to pay an expensive lawyer to give a lot of no's and shut the door in our faces? Spend that money on fair wages instead, because we're on the ground working for you to uplift our students and our institution during this challenging time. We need your support now. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. I'm going to ask the board for a motion to extend the public comment period. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Trustee DeLuna and trustee Iverson seconded. Next public comment card is for Karen Larson.
Hi, I'm Karen Larson. I have been teaching here for 15 years. And this is the first board meeting I've attended except for the one where I got tenure. And I'm sharing that just to let you know how important this is to me, that I don't take it lightly. In my time here at the college, I've been very involved beyond teaching. I was the chair of the professional development committee. I was the grievance officer for the union. I was a division chair before we got rid of those. And I'm now been the English department coordinator for, I don't know, 5 years or something like that. 5, yeah, okay, since COVID, it's a blur. I have always been able to say that I love my job. Now I say I love teaching. And that's really something I want you to know. I feel very devalued in my job. And my happy place is the classroom. There's nothing that can take that passion away from me. I see a disturbing trend that's happening here where a decision is made that I hear about and we hear about. And my reaction is, they can't do that. We have a contract. We have agreements about that. That's not, or they won't do that. That's just not how we treat each other here. That's not what this college is about. Only to discover they can and they will. And it's a pattern that I've experienced personally in my department. And I hear from my colleagues similar experiences all the time. And where we are now with salary is perhaps the worst example, which is what's bringing me here to talk to you today. I don't think it's too late to go back to the college that I recognize. I don't recognize where we're headed. We need to treat each other fairly. We need transparent communication. And we need to feel valued. As another colleague said, not just in words, but in action. So I am asking you to consider the very fair proposal from our union and treat us fairly and value us going forward. I want to say I love my job to the people in the community where I live, not just I love teaching. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. I'll now call on Andrea Bewick.
My name is Andrea Buick. I have been teaching here at Napa Valley College in some capacity since 1993. In that time, I've served as English department coordinator. I teach in the English department. I've served as a faculty negotiator. And I have worked as the managing director for the Napa Valley Writers Conference. And I've been working with the Napa Valley Writers Conference since 1993. So usually when I come to the board, I'm coming here in that capacity to talk to you guys about the Writers Conference. But today I'm here to talk about our negotiations. Like Karen, I love my job. I have been able to tell people I love my job for the entire time I've been here at the college. Like other people among our faculty, we chose to work at Napa Valley College for all of the things that have made it so wonderful through the years. I was hired directly behind Denise Rosselli, who I know is here in spirit in some way tonight. In the time that I've been here, what I have seen is that this college is at its strongest, its most powerful, its most innovative, when we are working together in mutual interest and mutual respect for the qualities and the professionalism that we all bring to this mission. And I have never seen it as bad as it is right now. I have never seen a board meeting with this much frustration and this much passion to be recognized for the work that we do every day, every week, every semester, and every year to make this college meet its mission. And the one thing that I just want to appeal to you to remember is that this college, the work that we do for our students is done when we are all working together. We function powerfully. In my time, we have served as the state model for things like accreditation. When administration has respected the contribution that faculty can make to these processes, the insights that we can bring to the leadership of this college. And where we are right now, working against one another, feeling as if we're being constantly disregarded and disrespected in terms of what we bring and what we deserve in terms of fair compensation. This affects the college, it affects the institution, and it affects our students. And that is the most important thing for all of us to remember. As the faculty goes, as the staff goes, so goes this college. We are the heart of this institution, the soul of this institution, and the memory of this institution. And I appeal to you to remember that when you are considering fair compensation for faculty and staff.
Thank you, Andrea. The last card I have is for Naphtali Lana.
Good afternoon, President Olson, Dr. Powell, and members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Naphtali Lona, and I serve as a senator on the NVC Board. I have been watching the faculty and classified staff deal with negotiations since fall. Working without a contract, I am here today to show my support for them to receive a fair contract. I want to urge the board to reach a fair agreement with the labor negotiations as soon as possible. Our faculty and staff are the backbone of our college. They support students through each and every stage of higher education, making the college experience more manageable for students. Faculty and classified staff often extend their support and commitment beyond the classroom, mentoring and guiding students through in-classroom, professional, and personal challenges. Our faculty and staff have been working outside of a fair contract for far too long. I would like the board to consider that prolonged uncertainty surrounding labor negotiations not only affects faculty and staff, but it impacts students and quality of education. When faculty and staff are supported, the quality of education and the support students receive improves. NVC is built on the foundation of strong education and support staff, and they deserve to be fairly compensated for their invaluable contribution to students' lives on this campus. Thank you for your time and considerations. I hope to see meaningful progress toward a resolution soon.
Thank you, everyone. Catherine, is there any virtual public comment?
No, there's not.
Joshua, did you have something else?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There were two anonymous comments there.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was on me too. Sorry. So I've said my comment earlier. This is I'm reading a comment for another faculty member. Yeah. Before joining Napa Valley College, I worked as a part-time instructor at different institutions for several years. I was excited and optimistic about a tenure track position at Napa Valley College. During the hiring process, I was told the administration and the union agreed that Napa Valley College would make good faith efforts to raise faculty salaries to be closer aligned with other basic aid community college districts, such as Marin and South Orange County. This has not happened, nor did I witness any good faith efforts to make this happen. Additionally, due to the discrepancies in how health insurance is covered at Napa Valley College and how it was covered when I was a part-time instructor, it took approximately 4 years for my Napa Valley College salary to reach my income as a part-time instructor, resulting in a pay decrease to accept a tenure track position. As you can imagine, this has limited my opportunities for my family. For example, we cannot afford to live in Napa and be more connected to the community we work in. It is time for the administration to make good on their promises.
Hello, my name's Kevin Godwin. I'm the Napa County Union Chapter President. I'm a Coke delegate. I'm also the Napa County Area Representative-elect to the Executive Board at 10-1. And I'm here, and let me tell you, when I walk into a room like this and I see dedicated people doing God's work, being out there, meeting students, meeting the community, raising everybody up while they're being pushed down by unfair wages. Shame on you. Get a contract done now. Let's do this. No contract, no peace. No contract, no peace. No contract, no peace. No contract, no peace.
Are there any other comments? Anyone else would like to speak? Okay, thank you, everyone. We will now move to constituent group reports.
Contract now. Pay the 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 contract now.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Aveline Gill, and I'm the current vice president of ASNVC. Thank you for allowing me the chance to speak.
I'm sorry, could you get closer to the microphone? I want to make sure we can hear you.
At our last biweekly ASNVC meeting, the faculty and classified staff unions presented ways we can help in their efforts to establish a new contract. We will continue exploring how to assist them moving forward. Multiple board members recently went to the ASAC conference in Washington, D.C. The ASAC conference is held as an opportunity to advocate for all community colleges at the federal level, with the main priority being making sure all community colleges are still receiving funding support. ASNVC is hosting a Party on the Plaza event being held on April 10th from 12 to 2 p.m. There will be music, food, tabling, and games. Please feel free to join us. The ASNVC elections are coming up. A large portion of our current board will be graduating and transferring. We are hosting an elections event on Tuesday, March 25th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the Library Plaza. Everyone is welcome to join us for music and information regarding how to join for the upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aline. I'm actually going to call on John Kinchelo to go next.
Am I on? This thing always says it's light on. Okay. Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to see you all. I'm so sorry for jumping the line. I apologize to my colleagues that are here, but I have to pull double duty as a dad tonight. So I'm going to run out and right after this report and go be with my son at a school event. So I appreciate the opportunity, Trustee Olson, for allowing me to speak earlier. But the first thing I want to say is that I really appreciate all the public comments. Thank you so much to everybody that expressed your experience and your disillusionment with the college right now. But I really wanted to call out Karen's comment. I thought that was really beautiful. Thank you so much, Karen. And one thing I want to say is that I love working at this college. And I say that a lot. People ask me, like, what's your favorite thing about working in Napa Valley College? And my first answer is always the students. I mean, the students are incredible. And every day I'm in the classroom with them is a magical day for me. But the other thing I say, well, if you pick something else, it's the people. It's these people right here that make me so happy. Every single one of you guys, I value you and your work and who you are. So thank you so much. But anyway, I brought some friends. I hope you guys. So the faculty are here today to express our protest, concern, and frankly, frustration over our salary situation. You heard a lot of that at public comment. We stand before you today as dedicated employees of this college, passionate educators of our students, and members of our community at large, asking that you take seriously our need to be paid fairly. The board can do this by working with district negotiators to strongly consider the current salary proposal sitting on the district's desk, which would be a great next step in building our compensation toward our shared goal of reaching the 24th rank of community college faculty salaries in the state. This commitment to our work would show this board's dedication to valuing faculty and the vital role we play in the success of our students and the college as a whole. 8 years ago, we came to the district with a solemn request. The faculty had analyzed our salaries compared to the cost of living in Napa County and realized that even though Napa's cost of living was around 24th in the state when compared against other counties, our salaries were almost 70th. We felt strongly that this was an unfair situation and that the district had an obligation to help correct that discrepancy. And guess what? This body, agreed to that. Therefore, Article 26 was born, which outlines in our contract the shared commitment of raising faculty salaries toward that goal. And it was further solidified in Article 8, which discusses salary, that this unified effort between district and faculty would continue in good faith each contract cycle. I want to say on behalf of the faculty that we appreciate the district negotiators at that time for recognizing the unfairness of that reality and working with faculty to make a plan to correct it. And honestly, I want to thank the board at that time, and I know some of you were on the board at that time, for voting to approve it. Now, though, we are asking the district to continue honoring that commitment and work with us again to achieve that goal and sustain it. This is not impossible. The district helped us with this goal in the previous cycle 3 years ago by increasing our salaries incrementally over the course of the now expired contract period. It should be noted that at the beginning of that period, the college was in an objectively worse situation financially than we sit today. With that in mind, it's an important note that during that period, over the last 3 years, we have dramatically increased the reserve, which people have talked about, including Josh, from 8 to 16%, which accounts to over $404 million, increased operating expenses tremendously, all the while providing good increases in salaries to all constituent groups on campus. This is all to say that there is nothing stopping the district from continuing what you already started with our salary increases and your commitment to help us achieve fair pay. Stated more simply, we made significant strides toward our salary goal in bad times. We can continue to make significant strides in these better times. So our ask today is simple. The district negotiators have a salary proposal in their possession that we believe is modest, fair, and will continue this board's commitment to respecting NVC's faculty and our intrinsic value to this institution's success. We ask that the district accept this offer, the board approve it, and ultimately show us that you are ready to work with us to help make this college the beacon of student success and equity that we all know it can be. Thank you again, everybody, for this opportunity. And the faculty's position is and always will be that we are unified in our rights as NVC faculty, ready for the challenges of the future, thankful for the lessons of the past, and passionately dedicated to the success of our students and the institution as a whole. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope your son's event goes well. I don't see Danielle Alexander here. Oh, okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I have a brief contribution and report tonight on behalf of the Classified Senate. The first topic I'd like to share about is the NVC Classified Appreciation Week, which will be held the week of March 31st to April 4th. Classified Appreciation Week is organized by volunteers, and all of the festivities are paid for through the private donations of people, some who work here and some who are retired but still participate in this event out of gratitude and respect for the classified body. In years like this, when union contract negotiations are going very poorly, it can be difficult to differentiate between the implications of such negotiations and the genuineness of an appreciation week. Some people might be asking, how can we have an appreciation week when it is clear through the negotiations process that we are not appreciated? It is possible that two things can be true at the same time, and this is certainly the case here. Yes, the contract negotiations are extremely disappointing. And at the same time, Classified Appreciation Week is a warm-hearted gesture from several of our comrades who offer it with kindness and as an acknowledgement of our service in the spirit of community kinship. So with these things in mind, the Classified Senate, in advance of the week's events, extends our thanks to the financial contributors and the organizing committee who have been working on this and who have added an extra helping of work to their own busy lives and schedules to create it for us. The next item I would like to discuss is the classified retreat, the annual retreat, which will be occurring on April 15th, on the Tuesday of spring break. We'll be meeting at Skyline Park for a day-long event of professional development and community building. We continue to expand our consciousnesses as to what a classified senate is charged with doing in the community college setting, primarily focusing on shared governance, relationship building, knowledge of college operations and functions, and professional development for the classified group. The final subject that I would like to share about is the upcoming classified senate election. During this election, the Senate will be deciding on a new president and an interim vice president. The election will take place in the late spring, and the new officers will begin their terms on July 1st. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Danielle. I'll now call on Amanda Frost to speak on about classified association.
Good evening. I'm here to speak for Jasenia. She sends her regards. She had a very important family celebration tonight that she wanted to attend. So I'm reading her report. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Powell, Cabinet, classified staff, faculty, students, and Napa community. Once again, classified professionals stand before this board without a ratified contract. We have been in negotiations for nearly a year, and yet our collective efforts and the dedication of our professionals continue to go unrecognized in terms of fair compensation. It is unacceptable that despite our ongoing contributions, our dedication to this institution, its students, and the community, we are still without a contract. That reflects the reality of our increased workloads, increases to the cost of living, the direct impact to classified staff after management reorganization. Various classified staff are reporting to 2 supervisors or more. Our staff are stretched to support multiple departments and programs. We are backfilling vacant positions and are not compensated accordingly. Lateral duties and lower classification duties that we are completing are not being compensated. Our contract does not protect our workload. We are taking a lot of time training temporary employees as well as contracted out temporary employees from hiring agencies. It is the responsibility of this board, along with the district, to ensure both the financial stability and long-term fiscal health of the college. However, the question must be asked, at what cost? The district claims that it must factor in affordability and financial viability when making budgetary decisions, but at what cost to the professionals who keep this college running? You cannot balance the budget on our backs. Are you really informed of what's going on at Napa Valley College? Classified professionals are carrying on more tasks than ever before. The increased demands placed on us are not just administrative, they are fundamental to the day-to-day operations of this institution. We are fundamental to the infrastructure and functionality of the college, and as such, we cannot continue to be expected to shoulder this burden without fair compensation. While the district has found the means to reclassify management positions and provide raises accordingly, classified professionals have yet to be offered an acceptable raise, despite the fact that the district has forecasted a stable budget and has met and exceeded its reserve goals. We have been informed that before we began negotiations, Dr. Powell instructed the budget committee to lower the amount earmarked for classified and faculty salaries by $250,000. Why? And also, why did this board pull the superintendent president's salary and benefits from last month's agenda item? We stand here today in solidarity with our faculty colleagues. This college cannot function without the combined expertise and dedication of both faculty and classified employees. Without us, the foundation of this institution would crumble. It is crucial that we are recognized for the essential role we play in the success of this college. The district's planned initiatives, such as 15 to Finish, opt-out scheduling, increasing our international student population, and increasing student housing population cannot succeed without the expertise and dedication of classified professionals. We are asking for recognition, fair compensation, and a contract that reflects the true value of the work we do. It is time for this board and the district to honor its responsibility to the classified professionals. We are essential to the success of this institution and students. This concludes the report. Sincerely, Jasenia Coda, NVC UCP Chapter President.
Thank you for reading that. Christine Tapia?
Good evening, everyone. The Administrative Confidential Senate convened its March meeting yesterday. We welcome Jeanette Torres, who is stepping into a very important role as specialist in the payroll office. So welcome, Jeanette. We also discussed details of Classified Appreciation Week, which this year is a collaboration between our Senate and the Academic Senate. Events will be held from March 31st to April 4th, and we encourage everyone, much like my colleague here, Danielle mentioned, to participate and show your appreciation to our classified employees in this way. The Senate is also reviewing the charge and membership, or our charge and membership, to ensure that it aligns with the intended role as a forum for managers and confidential employees to discuss issues affecting their work and space for open and candid dialogue among mid-level managers. The group agreed to revisit this topic and update the Senate's bylaws accordingly at our next meeting. Our Senate also discussed strengthening EEO training for all managers to ensure consistent application of hiring best practices. Members emphasized the need for ongoing and accessible training. Concerns were raised about the efficiency of hiring practices and the availability of trained EEO representatives, the need for the culture, a cultural shift, encouraging greater participation in EEO practices. So all in all, the Administrative Confidential Senate reaffirms its commitment to maintaining an inclusive, transparent, and effective governance structure, which we hope this district also supports. And by reviewing our charge and membership, we are ensuring that our Senate remains a valuable and trusted space for administrative professionals within our institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Matthew Kronzer.
Hi, everyone. It seems in ill taste to sort of proceed with business as usual. My instinct would be to cede my time to highlight the conversation that's been shared with you, if it weren't for some matters of concern to our faculty and on behalf of our students. So I've submitted a written report, but I'm going to focus what I share on just the areas that are of concern to faculty and students. You may remember in December that we brought forth a concern about changes to the structure in the Math and Writing Success Centers. At that time, we were still in the process of a conversion to how we were going to sort of staff those success centers. Our impression at the time was that we were removing all faculty from that space. It would be mostly conducted by peer tutors with students or sort of confidential staff or classified staff. We now know that we can continue to staff a faculty in that space, but at sort of a part-time faculty rate, so it's no longer part of their load. So the larger change was actually to remove about 17 units across the Math and English Success Centers. At that time, there was an estimate that this would save the district money, and I'm really thinking about that word fiscal stability and what that means for our college. I'm seeing its impact in so many areas. I do not envy the position that you were all in and having to make decisions on how to balance all of these competing needs, and I respect the work that you do. But I can see how it's affecting the tensions around our community and how it's making it difficult in my role to call on people to take on these greater tasks and challenges and work. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to get people to volunteer for things, or like hiring committees to volunteer for filling out our Senate committees. And I see that even at the level of our Success Center. The district had estimated that they would save about $150,000 by removing the full-time faculty as part of their load in the Success Centers. I don't really understand this calculation. At the highest part-time pay rate of $95 an hour per unit, when I do the calculations on saving those 17 units per week, that amounts to about $1,600 per week and about $26,000 per semester. So even if we are accounting, per semester, duplicating that for an entire year, if we factor in things like office hours, benefits, and retirement, that comes nowhere near to the $150,000 that was projected. We still don't have an official report from the district or the business office on how that number was calculated. But we can see the impact and how this is going to affect our students and that we do not have full-time faculty staffing those spaces in diminished capacities. English and math courses consistently have some of the lowest success rates at Napa Valley College. This is an area of interest at the Chancellor's office. There's been a great deal of legislation and initiatives to make changes and improvements in these areas. It is particularly disheartening as an English faculty. Roughly 4 in every 10 students who take our first year English courses will fail. Only about 60% of students are passing first year English, and the rates are actually lower for our math classes. So in some cases, we have about 50% of students who are failing those courses. The math and English and writing success centers are integral to supporting students at that level. Having a full-time faculty in those spaces so they can form those relationships, direct students there to provide support and mentor them through these courses is one of the ways at the Chancellor's office I've expected to how to support students as we made these meaningful changes. So I don't really understand why, as we are continuing to have these diminished rates, knowing that these are areas that are most aligned with success and future success of students, we are choosing to make these kinds of cuts that can affect their overall academic performance. I feel like it doesn't really align with the district's commitment to advancing equity and student success. So I continue to ask, how are those costs reflective of what the district has projected? And what is the reality of the situation which we are experiencing? On a similar level, faculty, classified, and administrators continue to challenge the decision to remove college hour. This is another item I brought back in December. It's been a difficult year for us adapting to this new schedule. And if you need the reminder for college hour, we used to have a time block on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12:30 to 1:20, in which we weren't really offering a great deal of sections. So all full-time faculty were available for meetings, community engagement, support work. It made it so much easier for us to get together and to sort of conduct our business on these meaningful projects. With the removal of that, I've had to really innovate and make so many changes on so many fundamental levels. We've had to completely re-envision the way that we are continuing to offer our academic senate. We've had to pivot to a representative senate because we can't rely on the senate of the whole because we don't have a meeting time where all full-time faculty are available. It has become difficult even on a department level for some departments to have all of their faculty present at the department meeting because some are off teaching sections. So we don't have an easy time to convene those meetings for departments. We no longer have division meetings because for the same reason, we don't have a space when all of our faculty across our departments can get together. So those are no longer a part of our regular process. There is no division meeting. Some departments are selectively meeting, and it is not an expected part of our contract that we have to attend those department meetings. That has an impact on the work that we do, and all of that is directly tied to this loss of college hour. Faculty continue to express frustrations for this. I don't really feel like I have a venue by which to carry those through or to make meaningful changes. I continue to raise those concerns here and hoping that we'll see some change. But it has created this long-lasting problem, and I think it is difficult, again, to ask our faculty to take on these additional roles to further their work in the service of our students and this community college if we don't have this community reserved space. I'm doing my best to remain optimistic. I try to be an optimistic person. My great feeling and across the campus in all areas is a great one of tension. I think the presence in this room is reflecting that. And as someone who serves this role that is trying to do this community and collaboration efforts, I'm again thankful for the work that I do with our district leadership. I'm really happy to see a lot of improvements to our practices and processes that are starting up again after discontinuance for a period of years. It is challenging, and I do not want to rely on those people who are willing to do that work. That's what leads to burnout, frustrations, challenges. And I'd hate to see further disillusionment across our community if we don't make progress on our union negotiations in other areas. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. We are about to head into closed session and I'm going to reopen any public comment about closed session items. At this time, the board will devote up to 15 minutes to hear comments regarding closed session agenda items. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there a public comment? Okay, no. Yes, you may. Come on up.
My public comment is on a different topic. I'm Barbara Nemco, 1861 Seville Drive in Napa, County Superintendent of Schools. And I came to express my gratitude for the partnership that the county office and the school districts have with the college. It has come into just so much focus in the last couple of weeks. I want to start with Doug Marriott, who is wonderful. He has been a great partner in Leadership Education Day and has taken several classes over the years through the vocational education programs that you have at the college. And each of the people in that program are leaders in the county, and so they now understand the breadth and depth of what you offer. Then Doug and Claudette Chateau and Christine Tapia, who have some fans besides me, were at our CTE conference in Sacramento. They presented with us. They have partnered with us last Friday. We are the technical assistance provider for the Golden State Partnership Program. And we took people from all over the northern part of the state to visit CTE programs in Napa County. And we had with us Doug, and I believe Claudette as well. And Christine, sorry. Yes, Christine absolutely was there. And what really struck me was people from all over the state listened to the ways in which we partner with the college, the articulated programs, the dual enrollment programs, and they all just kept commenting, I wish we had that kind of relationship with our community college. We take it for granted because we're in Napa. Nobody else takes it for granted. They were very surprised. Dr. Powell has graciously agreed to be our keynote speaker at the graduation of Camille Creek this year. And let's see what else. There's more, and yet there's more. We have somebody from the K-12 strong workforce grant that we get who is assisting with students transitioning to the college in CTE programs. And also the theater department is helping us out with some tickets to some of your programs to use as incentives for students who do good work to have the privilege of coming to see some of the great shows that you do. So thank you so much for the ongoing cooperation, partnership. We are very grateful, and we couldn't do as much as we do in the K-12 system in the county without this relationship. So that's why.
Thank you, Superintendent Nemco. We will now go into closed session. From closed session, apologize for the delay. I was a little unclear about which public comment we moved to the beginning of the agenda. So I'm going to reopen public comment for the general agenda. So I'll read it and then ask if there's any public comment. This public comment opportunity is governed by the California Brown Act. By definition, this is an opportunity to hear concerns, perspectives, and differing vantage points. The board is not able under the Brown Act to engage in any level of conversation or discussion, but we look forward to this opportunity to gather community input. At this time, the board will devote up to 15 minutes to review comment to the Board of Trustees regarding any subject not appearing as an agenda item for this meeting, but over which the board has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will occur at this time on such items. Each comment shall last no longer than 3 minutes. Catherine, is there any public comment?
No, there's no public comment.
Okay, thank you. Next item, action item 8.1, approval of consent calendar.
Motion to approve consent.
Second.
Does any trustee have any questions about these items? Trustee Rios made the motion and trustee Dodd seconded.
Reverse that.
Trustee Dodd made the motion, trustee Rios seconded.
You can have it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Item 9.1 is an action item, 2025 CCT board election. Catherine has the proposed ballot for trustees that we are supporting.
Motion to approve or recommend the highlighted candidates. on the ballot.
Okay, trustee Dodd made a motion, second. Trustee Baker seconded. Is there discussion?
I'm curious,
who
made
yeah.
selection?
Who requested, who approved?
Oh, I thought it was you.
No, I didn't have any. I would like, I mean, I didn't have any.
Sorry, I'm gonna withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Because I would like to propose that we nominate the three incumbents. So, or the three incumbents, Jose, me, and then Tammy Silver. And then leave Alejandra as the fourth. Diana and add, so take off 7 and add 15.
Is that just because they're incumbents or?
Tammy's been super, a great advocate for DEI and issues that affect small colleges. And rural colleges. So she's been an advocate for stuff that concerns our interests as Napa Valley College and similar districts.
If I could offer just one, initially I was just gonna go trustee Zelina because I thought that you had recommended these names, so I felt comfortable with it. And I still feel comfortable with your recommendations. If there is any way that, I know they're your colleagues, but I've developed, a bit of a personal relationship, but not actually professional, I shouldn't say personal, a professional relationship with Rebecca Barrett, who's on the Contra Costa CC. And what personally I have really liked in terms of this professional, we've had some really in-depth conversations about the 50% law and her advocacy for and wanting to advocate more for reform of that law in terms of her like major platforms, if she was able to join the CCT board. So I wanted to offer that as a suggestion and something that personally resonated with me.
I could,
and proximity to and Contra Costa and so on.
I was just gonna say I could support that too, because I'd like to see more Northern California representation.
And is Contra Costa community funded too?
No,
They're not? Oh, I
No.
thought they were.
I don't think so.
So then Alejandra, do you have any thoughts about Alejandra Gonzalez if we choose Rebecca and Tammy?
I would make a motion to then approve number 5, Jose Alcala, number 6, me, number 1, Rebecca.
Number 15, Tammy.
Motion to approve trustee DeLuna's recommendations. Second?
I know mine was a motion, so do you want to second it?
Oh, second, sorry. I thought you were just throwing it.
Recommendation.
Second.
Any other discussion on this? Everyone approve? All in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Any opposed? Trustee DeLuna made the motion, trustee Dodd seconded. All right, thank you. We are on to 13.1. Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, President Olson. The monthly review of our Fund 11 report. I'll call to your attention, notice in the very upper right, we're at 8/12. This report is through 8/12 or 67% of our budget. So the Cook's tour of the budget, just go down the right column and compare the percentage. Total revenues were at about 60% of our budget, and we're just about $500,000 less than where we were last year in terms of received revenue. No particular concerns there. There's not a lot of federal income that's coming into our Fund 11. So again, pretty stable confidence that we'll receive most, if not all of those revenues. On to salaries. We're at 62% of our salaries. We're trending at 84% for classified salaries temporary. And that's likely because we have not filled some of our full-time classified salaries, and there's some backfill going on there. Ultimately, we're at 62% of salaries at 67% of the budget. Recall that we have the earmark there of $750,000 that we have not expended. We have not committed those dollars because of those 2 open CBAs. So at 62%, we're well under the budget by 1.3 million. But when we spend that, we will be closer to the 67% or fully utilizing those funds. Certainly reflective of our benefits, we're at 61%, and when those salaries are retroactively applied, those numbers will go to the point where it's trending in the right direction. Tools, books, and supplies, we're at 59%. We still have that one. I know I always have to mention it, but it's inconsequential. That 147% variance, it's really a $2,200 variance. 59% at this point. Our total operating supplies are at 68%. We have some, I suspect, some timing expenditures there, but no reason for particular concern. Our total expenditures today are at 61% of budget. When you add, so that's about $2.6 million under budget. And when you add that, those benefits and salaries that we are encumbering, we're still running in a very positive direction relative to Fund 11 this year. I don't see any particular concerns at this point in time. And that would conclude my report unless there are questions.
Any questions? Okay, item 13.3, total cost of ownership, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, President Olson. Total cost of ownership is an assessment done in two particular areas here. This one is for facilities, and ultimately what a TCO wants to accomplish is an understanding of the costs associated with operating your facilities over time. And the facilities include staffing, maintenance costs, utility costs, et cetera. So this is a fairly extensive document, so I'm going to move through it fairly quickly. But I would certainly encourage you to take a closer look to understand it more fully. So moving on to page 4 here. The definitions, there's an overview of what we're trying to accomplish here. I would share with you that the units of measure here are square feet. So what does it cost you per square foot to operate, both in terms of staffing and salaries and utilities. So you'll see a lot of expression in square feet. You also see the acronym APPA, the Association of Public, Public Physical Plant Administration for Colleges and Universities, sets standards for what it takes to provide custodial services to a site, to ground services to a site, to maintenance services to a site. So that's a reference point by which we would compare what we're doing. On to page 5. So we're speaking here to APPA standards, and we're speaking to the definition of what we're trying to accomplish. The very top is a replacement value. The value, the total expenditure in current dollars required to replace any facility at the institution. I'll show you a table a little later in the project where it's highlighted by color. And the color indicates there's a red color that says, effectively, these buildings are beyond their useful life and need to be replaced. And there's some greens in there and some caution lights there as well. I would offer that's the kind of information that would be very helpful to us as we develop our facilities master plan and perhaps at some point look at a bond issue. Moving on to page 11. These are staffing costs. Staffing costs are interesting. They're not interesting in a pejorative way, but interesting because staffing is dependent on the level of service you want. So you'll see, if you could scroll down a little bit more. Next page. Let's try this. So you'll see these are APPA standard level levels, and you can see that the APPA standard level 1 is for orderly spotlessness. Level 2 is ordinary tidiness. Level 3 is casual inattention. Level 4 is moderate dinginess. And level 5 is unkempt neglect. So let's say level 1 is the Ritz-Carlton and level 5 is my garage. So what we strive to do, we're hovering around level 3 right now. What are the dependent variables on level 3? The dependent variables are how many staff do you have to attend to the square footage that you need to maintain? So those are the variables that determine the level you are trying to maintain. So with our levels today, both in grounds custodial, and maintenance. We're trying to maintain a level 3 casual inattention. It sounds negative, but if we wanted better quality, we'd have to invest more likely in staff. So the maintenance staffing level is next. So show place facility, the Ritz is recommended square foot per maintenance personnel to maintain is about $47,000. Level 2 would cost us $67,000, et cetera. So you can see that if depending on how much you have in your budget would directly influence the kind of what you should expect in those particular service areas. Ground staffing is the next schedule down. You can see that that we have a large area to maintain. We have 4 grounds folks, but if we wanted level 1, it would cost us about $346,000 to maintain it at a superior level.
Jim, just quickly, I believe the unit of measurement is square feet per 1 FTE, correct? As opposed to dollars.
That's correct. Yes, thank you. Square foot for ground staff. And that is, it would be 346,000 square feet per ground staff to maintain that level. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, moving on to page 13. So here's some recommendations. Recommended annual staffing costs per gross square foot, Gesundheit. Custodial at Napa Valley College, we're currently paying 2.2, let's see, 2.207 per square foot for custodial, 0.67 per square foot for maintenance. Grounds, you can see, is 0.09, and other operations and maintenance, 0.65. So projected annual total per square foot, we're paying $3.60. The Upper Valley campus is noted because it's a comprehensive TCO. However, when this data snapshots were taken, we have backed off of operations at the Upper Valley campus. Let's go to annual utility costs. I'd rather look at the graph here. That is right here, energy use intensity. This is interesting because it's both the Upper Valley campus and this is by square foot. So the Upper Valley campus, the costs per square foot are higher because it's a very small footprint and the costs relative to the footprint are higher. The interesting part here is the electric costs at the main campus. And let's see. NVC electricity is the very bottom line. So why is it so low? This is the data that informed our decision to downsize our solar array project. So what it's telling us is that the electrical usage on the main campus is fairly low. These are PG&E costs because they're being offset by that by the fuel cell that's supported by natural gas. So you can see it's a very nominal cost to PG&E anyway, but certainly a bigger cost in natural gas. Scrolling down to 1415. Excuse me. The same kind of information for water on the main campus. Fairly steady over the course of the 3 years that we measured. And you can see the UVC has actually dropped off based on our changing use at UVC. The question I would have here is whether that includes St. Helena, whether it's single metered or not. So we'd want to take a look at that. Scrolling down to 19 key findings. So our key findings, the TCO assessment offers insights to all costs related to facilities management from initial development to long-term operational expenses. The historic perspective supports strategic funding priorities and enhances the overall management of district resources. It's alignment with performance standards by leveraging staff guidelines from the Association of Physical Plant, from APA. The district can give its custodial maintenance and ground staffing levels with industry best practices. The use of these guidelines fosters operational efficiency. Utility management is giving us more data on how our utilities are costing us. And obviously one of the recommendations is reduce your energy costs as much as possible. Regular conditions assessments, we have a measure, a conditional CFI is conditional, I'll remember it in just a moment. It's an objective measure by the state who comes in and does a survey of our campus as well as other community college campuses and posts it on a website with the state. I'll remember that in a moment. So the more important factor is how do we plan for future needs and for future capital investments related to our facilities? And this is the vehicle that does this. It gets translated in the form of, recall in our accreditation standards, we need to connect budget with planning. So this is the planning mechanism that tells us what we should be investing in our facilities, either in maintenance or ultimately in replacement, to inform our planning, as I mentioned earlier, both in terms of annual budgets, but in terms of long-term funding needs. Can you scroll down to the appendices? I think these are what-if documents. If we were to increase our custodial by 1 and take it to the Ritz-Carlton, what would it cost us? So these vehicles can be used for, these sketches can be used for what-ifs. Can you scroll down to the list of facilities? It's the one we can't really read. Yeah. Okay. I want to ask you to read this. However, this is a list of all of our facilities on campus, and just thank you. And you'll see the FCI, the Facilities Condition Index, has the colored numbers, the colored column, and essentially that's telling us, based on an assessment of the condition of that building, that's generally the state of that building during the assessment period. So you can see, the red ones obviously stick out. The garden shed is the first red one. And down further, there are several facilities buildings that are in red. Obviously, the yellow are cautionary. They're saying, we're not quite there yet, but we need to keep an eye on those. Maintenance, storage, some of our older wine buildings are in here, et cetera. We will also be adding our wine education center to this. So we continue to have an ongoing inventory of our facilities. Our reasonable life for buildings is assessed at about 50 years. So we are beyond the reasonable life in many of our buildings here, but that's the evaluation by most bricks and mortar buildings in California community colleges. So I know that was a very brief overview. It is a valuable instrument. It meets our accreditation standards, and most importantly, it provides a context for our planning as we look at our facilities and how we move forward with advancing our facilities.
Any questions? All right, item 13.4, total cost of ownership technology, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, President Olson. It's the last one. One of our challenges on campus as well has been how we monitor the condition of our computers in computer labs for student use, for faculty staff use, in addition to the condition of our in-room audiovisual technology. So we're using a total cost of ownership to assess how old all of that equipment is and determine, set standards for how often we would recommend replacing it. So the TCO portion of this, we have taken an inventory across the campus of all of our computer assets and all of our servers. We've also done a very preliminary inventory of our audiovisual assets. So this is an effort to, number one, catalog those, and number two, set standards for how often we would replace that equipment and what we would replace it with. So page 4, what page are we on now? Thank you. Page 4, definitions. A comprehensive total cost of ownership is a comprehensive approach to maximizing return on investment of managed physical assets that include the summation of all known and estimated costs to include first recurring renewal replacement costs for technology. And then the second part of this document is called the refresh planning. And the refresh is a planned, informed informed approach by the TCO, which prescribes replacement cycles for technology-related assets. If you've been around here more than 15 minutes, you're often hearing about, the AV in my classroom doesn't work. No one's, it's been there for 25 years, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a planned approach to funding that. So page 7, goals of refresh planning. Excuse me. Our goals of refresh planning are centralized resource and financial planning and forecast funding requirements for AV and technology to assure that appropriate computing and/or AV resources are available in department, division facilities, classrooms, and offices to support the mission. Implement the minimum standards for computing and AV equipment on campus. The standard for the classroom is developed by the Distance Education Technology Committee, et cetera. Assure that each faculty and staff member who uses computing resources has a computer of sufficient capability. Provide for the cost-effective and timely purchasing. And finally, that last bullet there, maintain a currently supported operating system from Microsoft or Apple. I'm going to move along here to page 11. Catherine. Page 11, we've set priorities today for what we need to fund immediately. These came out of conversations with the District Technology Committee, conversations with our technology staff, conversations with Dr. Mora, establishing highest and immediate needs. We are well behind where we should be. So we have established that by using the TCO or the catalog of all these assets, we're going to use that to inform what we need to buy first, what we need to purchase first, and what we need to replace first. And through the development of a prioritized list of AV needs, Dr. Moore has provided us a very initial set of prioritized needs that we will begin to work on in terms of funding. And then with supporting information recommendation for the district's technology staff. Our staff are out in these areas. They know firsthand what we need and what we should be focusing on. Our priority guidance for the refresh of computers, purchases of computers and support equipment, which if not addressed, this is a priority, represent a security threat to the district's technology systems. You'll see later in the schedule, computers that are typically older than 5 years old represent a possible security threat to our systems. Most of our computers are over 5 years old, and that will cause us to consider how we need to invest in those. Computers and related equipment necessary to meet the pedagogical needs of specific programs. I think we're a little bit behind the curve in some of our areas where our students are being taught to enter particular fields, graphic design and other fields on specialized equipment. We need to make sure that equipment is up to date so those students can actually enter the workforce having used the most recent equipment. And then we talk about priority guidance for refresh of AV and related equipment. Classroom equipment that is non-operational is the highest priority. Equipment that is minimally effective. Conference room equipment is a third that is non-operational, and then conference equipment that is minimally effective. Let's move down to, I think it's page 24, it's the budget request. So as I mentioned earlier, what's the real value here? It's to connect our planning, the assessment of what we've determined we need with our budget. So with this information, with the TCO information, with these priorities, it results in a budget request. Scroll down a little further, Catherine. So this is a budget request document I'll put before the DTC a little further. So as you look at table 1, 5 years or older, we have type 1 labs. So those are specialized labs. We have 17 computers that are over 5 years. Type 2 labs are kind of our desktops, like what we typically use in our offices and in our classrooms. We have 118 of those. I put a value on those. So we're looking at type 1 replacement of about $35,000, $35,700, and type 2 replacement is about $165,000 for those two areas. Scrolling down, these are our fleet devices. Those were labs first, student labs. These are our fleet devices. Over 5 years, we have 509 machines over 5 years, valued at $1,400 each. The cost of replacing those is $712,000. Scroll down a little further. And these are the AV assets by replacement priority. we're assuming that average cost of redoing a classroom is about $20,000 a quantity. If we did 20 this year, 10 next year, and 10 the following year, this year it would cost us about $400,000. And then we have some conference and public spaces, about $80,000 in year one. And then some component replaces we're valuing about $80,000. Just the AV piece is $960,000. Add the other two, we're at over $1.7 million, $1.8 million in year one. So you can see how it translates from, we've had an assessment about what our needs are. It gets translated to our priorities. It gets translated to a budget request. So this will go to the budget committee. Now you might ask, how are we going to pay for this? Folks, I don't think we're going to be able to pay for it all. But what we will need to do is make a commitment at some level based on the recommendation from the District Technology Committee. And then the highest priority we would likely fund both with Fund $11 and available Fund $12. And with some investment here, we would have to have the DTC go back and next year reprioritize based on what we're able to fund this year. But the year one, based on the fact that a lot of this equipment is older than its useful life, has created this significant demand for resources, certainly early on. Over time, that gets leveled out, obviously, as you're able to replace equipment at their reasonable lifespan, and the demands on your budget become more leveled out. So that's a quick overview of the TCO and the refresh document for technology.
Any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, as we make, or decide what's our focus for the year, do we make sure that when we are applying for grants, we add extra money or try to include technology funds or anything?
Yes, in fact, a good portion, we're actually going to invest this year a significant amount in audiovisual upgrades in classrooms with a portion of HSI grants that allow for that. So that'll actually reduce some of these numbers in next year. But in fact, tomorrow morning, we have a meeting with all categorical and grant funding, asking the question, does your grant support technology investments? Does it support student workers? Does it support students and residents who need support with housing costs? So we're attempting to call that out from all of the grants and categoricals that we're receiving, and we're looking at in new proposals. I suspect we're looking at that as well.
Yeah, and I'll speak to the new proposals portion as well. Any subsequent grant that we apply for is linked directly back to our strategic objectives and our TCO. So we are prioritizing addressing some of the priority initiatives that we have, these being chief among them, and subsequent proposals that are in process now as well. So
I had a couple questions and then a comment. I'm wondering, first of all, I know you've got Wi-Fi in here, and upgrading and extending Wi-Fi. Is there a speed that we are targeting?
We recently upgraded the Wi-Fi like last year. That would be included as an asset here. And it is, the upgrade was funded by a student technology fee that accumulated over the course of several years. It was about $400,000.
Okay. And then my next bit is kind of a combination question comment. What I'm hearing you say is that we've got like this minimum amount that we need to kind of, we're so far behind the 8 ball at this point that if we're trying to do like a 5-year refresh, ideally we would be putting money into a pot every year, 20%, so that every 5 years we have that money. But if we're already behind on that, I don't know how we ever get to that point. And I don't know if we should have a discussion about, should we consider using reserves to get us to a starting point? And then, so that then we can start to do that in a reasonable amount and build it into our ongoing operation budget.
Yes, there's one financing mechanism that I haven't seen used here, and it's used at many colleges and universities as you have a lease of equipment over the life of the equipment, say 5 years for computers. it makes a level demand on your operating budget, and it's a reduced demand in each year as opposed to that big $1 million. Maybe you only set in $300,000 a year for 5 years. And so you level out the demand on your fund. The other advantage here, and we're still looking at this, is that leased assets are a positive for your 50% law. They're actually a deduct from your 50%. So we're looking at it as a financing strategy and to level the kind of demand on our physical resources each year.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you.
President and board reports.
I'd like to start, good evening, everyone. Start by sharing some good news that is not part of my written report because we just received this today, which is we got formal approval for our bachelor's degree program in respiratory care. It's very exciting. Very exciting. That program will start in fall of 2026, which gives us a year to market, share, spread the word, and spread our joy. But tonight's report is focused on the spring semester, and I wanted to provide some information as we are midway through the term. This week, our second half of classes began. Just looking at where are all of our classes being held. And so you can see that the spring classes, which excludes CCAP, because CCAP classes are only for the high school students, so I didn't want to include them. It also excludes contract education or community service classes. So for our credit classes, which are being offered this spring semester, you can see them divided into 4 main categories. The first one is 100% in person, and we have 180 sections offered in that modality across 34 disciplines. And what you see below that is the list of disciplines that the in-person classes are in. And the number in parentheses to the right of each discipline represents the number of sections in that discipline. The second category is hybrid. A traditional hybrid class is 1 class meeting a week in person and the equivalent number of hours for the other class meeting being held online. Although we do have a range of hybrid options. So some of them, for example, in the English department, they tend to do about 80% of their class in person and 20% online for the research component. And vice versa, we have some physics classes that meet more online and then have less frequent in-person classes. So it represents a range, but our hybrid classes are 139 sections across 36 disciplines. And then to the right of that, you'll see our online courses. The first category being asynchronous, which means there are no scheduled class meetings and students can participate at any time that their schedule allows. And we are offering 136 sections fully asynchronous across 36 disciplines. And then the last category is also online, but it has scheduled class meetings. So the students come on a Zoom call together with the instructor during the regularly scheduled time, but from wherever is convenient for them. That is the smallest number of sections at 38 across 15 disciplines. I did also want to highlight a little bit about some of our scheduling practices by using the case of astronomy and math. So astronomy is a very small area. We offer only a few sections. It's near the top, a few sections of astronomy, if you look at the list here. So you can see in the first column for the 100% in person, we have 1 section of astronomy in person. And then if you look at the third column, we have 1 section which is fully online. So in an ideal world, we could provide in-person and online offering for every class we have. If it's a very small program, we can't do that because we can only offer 1 section. When we can only offer 1 section of a course, we have to look at past enrollment patterns to determine what is the method that students have tended to sign up for that particular course. But if we do have the ability to offer many sections, our goal is to provide it in every modality to give students the maximum level of choice, because we know students have different life circumstances, different needs, and different abilities to participate in those different ways. So I'd like to use the math department as an example where we do have a lot of bandwidth to offer all modalities. So you can see in the in-person section, we have 12 sections. For the hybrid, we have 13. For the fully online, we have 5 sections of math. And then for scheduled meetings online, we have 8 sections. So predominantly math is offering a majority of their classes in person or hybrid, but we want to offer online choices for students who cannot do that. You can also see in the summary row just below this listing, if you look across these sections, 319 of them fit some component of in-person, a combination of in-person or hybrid, offered in person at the high schools. And then we have contract education classes that are offered on site and are limited only to the industry or partner that we're offering the class to. Those are in person. And community services or other classes that are held off-site. Those are not included in the list, but most of those are in person. And the last thing I wanted to point to was for any of our students, prospective students, families, community members, they can view the schedule at any time, the same information, if they would like to select courses by modality and just look that way. They can go to our schedule, which is on the public website, and then drop down in the field to look for location. So location represents where the class is held. Anything that is main campus is 100% in person. And there's a long list. You can scroll and find hybrid course and the location of the hybrid course, and of course, online only as a modality. So hopefully this information can give us a sense of where we are right now. And what I will present at the April board meeting in a more extended detail is a look back at the last 5 years. So you can get a sense of how we have shifted over time, inclusive of the role that the pandemic played in shifting our offerings online and how we have been gradually coming back from that to where we are today. So thank you very much for your attention.
Just a quick question for you. This kind of 2/3, 1/3 split between online and in person do you have any sense of how that compares with other schools?
It varies a lot across the state. I come from a district where even in our district, we have 3 colleges. One college tended to be more heavily online. Another college tended to be more heavily in person. And the third was more of a mix between the two. That's within 3 colleges. So because they have different students who are seeking different things. So it really does vary quite a bit.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and community. Just want to once again acknowledge Women's History Month and thank the amazing mujeres, women who are in my life personally, from my family to my colleagues, some of them at this table, around the amazing leadership and work that you do. With that said, I also wanted to lift up and tell the board about a really special activity that we had on March 8th on this campus, the Napa Valley Young Latinas Conference. This was a conference hosted by my office in alliance with or in collaboration with the Binational Health Alliance. This conference provided a platform for young Latinas and professional mentors to engage in discussions about identity and the cultural barriers impacting the advancement of and success of young Latina women in our community. Approximately 30 high school students from local high schools, from local schools attended, and they had a variety of speakers. Some of our former students were also there and got to participate as speakers. So was a powerful event. I opened that activity with a welcome. Our students also got to tour River Trail at the end. So that's an event that we've been doing. This is the 3rd year we've done it. I'm very excited to support that activity and we continue to grow that every year. Want to shift over to the work of counseling student success. I spoke a little bit about this last month, but I wanted to highlight some of the work that I think is really critical and important, has been making some impacts. Specifically, we shifted some hours to the weekend. I mentioned that we were looking at doing this last month, but they've done it, and the impacts it's making for students is immense. So very proud of the work that is happening in counseling. We've been able to offer more options for parents, working parents, for students who can't come during the week. It's done virtual, so students can log on from home, and our counselors are able to offer support a couple hours on Saturday morning. So this is making a big impact, big difference just in that small shift. So I'm very excited about that. With that said, the counseling department, in collaboration with admissions and records and the enrollment team, will be hosting what we're calling a Strong Start. This is an in-person orientation. Some of you may remember the old school in-person orientations we used to do a long time ago. We're going back to that model. There's 2 dates there that we are proposing, or that we're going to have this event. Basically, this is an opportunity for our community to learn all about our services, but also just go through the whole onboarding process in person with staff supporting them, and counselors available for educational planning and registration. So the whole goal of this, again, is to really, well, for me, it's really important that we make a connection, a student connection, that identifying a staff member who they can talk with and ask questions to is incredibly important for developing a sense of belonging. So the grounding in that first, but then just being able to triage and support students through that process is critical. So especially for first generation students, we're also going to be offering services in Spanish. So making sure we're attending to the entire community and being responsive is involved in this activity. So that's going to happen. You're more than welcome to join us. We're going to revolve it around a resource fair. There's also going to be some music, food, that kind of thing. And I think we're going to get a DJ. So looking forward to those activities on May 21st and 28th. Want to shift to River Trail Village. Currently, we have 174 residents for spring 25, continuing to grow. We continue to do lots of marketing around this. There's a whole team that's working closely together to make sure we think about all avenues we can connect with the community, and beyond to recruit for River Trail Village. Also want to continue to highlight, and I think it's important for you to know and for the community to know, around just how powerful it is to be at River Trail Village. Around the community feeling that's been developed and is established there is critical. For student success, again, that sense of belonging is important. So we're having activities there. You can kind of see throughout the month. Basically every week there's some kind of activity happening then for residents. So we are a 24/7 college now. So our goal is to offer support to our students 24, hopefully not 24 hours a day because they're asleep, right? Sometimes, but throughout the week and late into the evening. So from craft night to going out to baseball games to the Kababigan night out, which happened this past weekend, to bingo activities. Farmers Market trip is being planned. There's a parent support group that's been established. Napa County DA is actually working with some folks out there, offering some support, and we play dates and ongoing support throughout the month. So that's critical for us to really be thinking about how we create community at River Trail, and they're doing it. I want to really highlight that they are doing it, and that impact for students is being felt. So I really want to thank the team out there doing some incredible work. Finally, I'll end it with this. I will continue to report on this every month, and maybe the month after. The Mariachi Festival is, if you have not gotten your tickets, it's only a few weeks away. So literally around 3 weeks away. My team is very busy putting these pieces together. Please come out and join us. Again, Mariachi Luz de Oro, UC Berkeley will be there. Amazing group from the university. Mariachi Atzlan del Pueblo High School in Tucson, be there, get national award-winning group. And then an all-female identifying group, Mariachi La Mariposas from Garfield High School down in East LA. So please come out, support. The Friday before the event on April 11th, we are actually hosting NVUST schools as well. So again, my whole kind of vision around mariachi as well is to continue to open this up to our community, especially our young students, so they experience mariachi music as well. Through Festival Napa Valley support us in this, and can't wait to do a mini concert for our NVUSD students. So we have many schools already signed up for that and bringing their students to that event on April 11th. So good to see you at mariachi, and very excited about the work that we're doing in student affairs. Here's my report.
When is the mariachi going to be in St. Helena?
It'll be the evening of April 12th.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I believe I've touched on significant issues in my area, so would respectfully refer you to my written report and therefore conclude my report.
Mr. Baker, I just had a quick question about the Strong Start. How often do you anticipate offering that in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're gonna, this is a pilot, basically bringing it back. But I'd love to be able to offer at least to support for fall, maybe even into the spring, and doing a smaller version for summer. So basically every semester if we can. The biggest push really for the fall registration, as that's important for us to really make that connection right away. I think we'll see how this one goes, but I also want to establish and develop maybe a form of orientation, maybe right even before school starts. So we're going to get this Strong Start early, but then the follow up on, okay, what if I missed that? Because our students are busy, they're doing many activities. Perhaps we can then offer something maybe a week before school starts or the weekend before school starts to really get that last group of students connected. This is something that we are discussing as well.
Good evening. In the Office of Human Resources and Training and Development, I have attached my report. The couple items, areas that I want to highlight. Last semester, we did implement self-service for leave requests for administrative confidential. That has been so successful that recently we have opened this up for classified professionals. It has significantly reduced the workload of one of our staff members in human resources. I also want to raise up and champion the work of our new Title IX and Civil Rights Manager. Outside of the Title IX office, you'll see a beautiful display celebrating and honoring Women's History Month. Please stop by the office and get your free Women's History Month wristband. Additionally, our Title IX and Civil Rights Manager, Kelly Tomlinson, has worked across the campus, partnering with other groups, the Health Center, Basic Needs, and River Trail Village to develop a student parent support group. The purpose of this group is to ensure that resources and services are shared with our student parents. And while these meetings are being held, there will be childcare. So if you do have craft items that you would like to donate, please, all donations are welcome. We are busy also in this space and working on programming to provide education and resources around Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And I will, in April, bring back some additional information regarding that program. We continue to be busy with our recruitments and training and development, but what I want to highlight is it feels really, really good to be a part of various programming across the campus, focusing not just on the logistics of human resources, but being very much involved in student success in so many different ways. Thank you.
I'll just wrap with a little bit of sad tidings. Want to acknowledge the passing of Dr. William Feddersen, former president at Napa Valley College, the gentleman just to my left, to the left of my portrait, who was the president at NVC from 1980 to 1991. He passed on March 4th, and he also served as president after his 11 years here at NVC at Mount Sac College as well, and retired in 2002. Among many honors, he had the distinction of being one of the youngest community college presidents in the state of Iowa. I think he became a college president at age 25, which I think is remarkable. So want to just offer a quick moment of silence for Dr. Feddersen. for his work and legacy here at NVC. Thank you. That concludes President Area reports.
Okay, item 15.2, standing committee and other appointment reports. Trustee DeLuna, do you have anything to report on CCT board? Good luck with your election. Audit and finance, we haven't met. Ad hoc legislative affairs committee will be scheduling our first meeting in early April. Let's see, we don't have any of the. DOS, trustee Iverson, somebody met? Agriculture and winery, trustee Rios?
Nope.
Okay, and trustee Dodd is absent, is just left, so we'll move on to, are there any future agenda item requests? Okay. Trustee and board chair reports. Student trustee Gonzalez.
Good evening, President Jenny Olson, the Board of Trustees, Dr. Powell, and cabinet members. So to start off, during our last ASMC meeting, Trinity Tyson, Nico Bayless, Melanie Vargas, and Julie Rosa, who are students living at River Trail Village, and their resident director, Yvonne, shared their perspectives about why the campus should allow RTV residents access to the fitness facilities such as the gym, weight room, and pool. Their perspectives and personal stories were very compelling. And today I'll share just a few notes that were mentioned during the meeting. First is that access to these facilities would help justify the high cost of rent at RTV, which could potentially appeal to students considering signing leases in the future and help fill empty units. Secondly, the students highlighted the physical and mental health benefits these fitness opportunities would provide and the correlation between regular exercise and academic performance. Third, another important note is that the access to these facilities would strengthen the bond students feel toward the college, increasing their student pride and showcasing Napa Valley College's commitment to student welfare and inclusivity. Additionally, students at RTV have worked together starting a petition to request access to the on-campus fitness facilities with over 118 signatures so far. I also wanted to highlight some past and future events that Dr. G highlighted in his report. This month, RTV hosted some social activities, including speed friending, an opportunity for students to meet new friends and get to know each other. Other future activities include craft night and game night. Some upcoming educational opportunities are a Women's History Month bingo and workshops with both Napa Recycle and the Napa County District Attorney's Office. So moving on, the Office of Title IX and Civil Rights Compliance just launched a new campus-wide initiative, which is the Student Peer and Support Group. The first meeting will be next Wednesday in the RTV Community Room, and the following meeting will be in the Library Community Room on April 1st. Next, this past March 14th through 18th, 4 ASMC students, including myself and Dean Darkangelo, attended the ASAC 2025 National Student Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C. The conference was very informative and focused on preparing students to meet with their congressional representatives on the following Monday and to help advocate for the federal government to continue supporting federal student aid programs, including the Pell Grant Federal Work Study Program, the FSEOG grant, and student loan programs. I really enjoyed the conference and I learned a lot during the workshops. The trip was really fun for all members, and we enjoyed getting to explore DC and see the National Mall and all the monuments. It was a really amazing trip for me, and I'm super grateful to have gone. It was a really amazing experience. Also, Dean Darkangelo encouraged all of us who were on the trip to create our LinkedIn profiles for personal growth and development, which was surprisingly really fun for the group. And the students who attended and Dean Darkangelo planned to present during the May meeting to tell you all a little bit more about our trip and how exciting it was during the May meeting, because the next meeting is during spring break. Next, this past Saturday, the Kasei Science Learning Community hosted their first Kabiga Night Out, which was very successful. There were over 700 attendees. The event consisted of a night market, a car show, live performances, activities, and more. Next, the PTK chapter also hosted our spring bowling night this past Tuesday, which was also successful. There was about 175 attendees. Finally, the PTK board and our advisor, Professor Gillis, will be attending the PTK Regional Conference this Friday through Saturday in Newport Beach. The chapter did receive the 5-star chapter designation, and we're hoping to win the College Project or Honors in Action Award either at the regional conference or the international conference, which we'll also be attending in Kansas City in April. That's all I have today. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Trustee Gonzalez. I'd like everybody's reports to be as lengthy. Trustee Tishina.
At the end of February 27th, I attended the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Mixer here at the college. I got to meet some nice people and really appreciate the opportunity that the Mixer offers to students to mix with folks in the business world and network. Next day on March 1st, or 2 days later, I attended a protest for immigrants' rights. And I took a moment to affirm the college's belief that everybody's entitled to an education as according to our shared values of inclusion, equity, mindedness, and social justice. And I'd like to take a moment to invite everybody to attend the Holy Festival at Shenandoah Park in American Canyon on April 6th from 2 to 5. That's all I have.
Thanks, Trustee Kishinev. Trustee DeLuna.
So I just want to note that I have been showing off our work as far as the outreach that we've done for immigrant rights here at the college and just being a filter and voice for our community. And then on the Women's History note, I just want to make a statement that in the spirit of Women's History Month, the only reason I have a seat at this table and others is thanks to picket lines, marches, and boycotts. And I personally want to thank all the women that came before me and those that will follow. May they be loud, may they be strong, and may there be plenty. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee DeLuna. Trustee Baker. I just wanted to start making a comment about Mr. Reeves' garage. There must be a level 7 or 8 that might be my child's room. So, but I also attended the Hispanic Chamber event, and I had some really fun conversations with students. And one of the students I was talking to, I asked him, like, what brings you here? And he said, well, my professor offered extra credit. And so I was like, that is awesome. And I wish more professors would do that. I think it would be fantastic for other events in the community as well, because there's such a wealth of cultural events out there, you know. Let's give them extra credit for coming. And then the last thing I wanted to say is congratulations to Gina Schimmel. We just approved her full-time position working with you here at the college. She has worked for the last 20 years in Benicia Public Library, and you picked a good one. Thanks, Trustee Baker. Trustee Iverson.
I just wanted to thank Dr. Powell and your cabinet for all the hard work you guys do. And I know you guys are front and center on a lot of this stuff. So I appreciate you, and I think the board appreciates you as well. So thank you. And congratulations to Trustee DeLuna on her CCT. I'm hoping that you're going to bring it home.
Thanks, Trustee Iverson. Trustee Rios.
I'm gonna break the trend here and say no report.
I'll follow up with that. I have no report tonight either. Our next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is on April 17th. If there are no objections, the meeting is adjourned at 8:02 p.m. It's the longest one in a while.